G'day fellas and welcome to an FFA strategy guide for Age of Empires 4 Season 7, and FFA is now available in quick match for everyone to play without any hassles whatsoever. You don't have to download mods, you don't have to do anything, and so naturally we are going to be doing a strategy guide for free-for-all so that you can try and better your chances when you get into the octagon. So let's get to it. Let's start it off with this simple stuff. Now, in your FFA games, you're going to have a few more villages than me. I've got 3 here because I'm still playing the old mode, but don't worry, I'll be playing the new mode soon. The normal mode that you will have 5 villages, and that's great because it means that you're going to have more options for you. But here are some general tips that you can follow early on for placing your town center. Number 1, you want to try and find a food source. This is really important, and it's going to guarantee that you can keep making villages in the early game. You don't want to stall out. So if you see gold or if you see stone, cool, keep an eye on it, but don't drop your town center there unless there's food. So that's my first tip. My second tip is try and move towards the edge if you possibly can. Moving towards the edge of the map is always going to give you a bit more of a chance. And one of the things that I've found after casting both back on Season 1 and 2 is that typically the players that are on the edge survive a lot longer than the players in the middle of the map. Number 3 is if you can see water, that's always a good sign, and you want to try and take advantage of it. So as an example here, I've found myself a small pond. I don't know exactly how big it is, but my suspicion is it's probably got a few deep sea fish in here. So what I'm going to do is look to get a dock down early. So the first thing I'm going to do is take advantage of the fish that are here. This is my food source, so I'm going to take advantage of this, make sure I get my villagers onto it straight away so I can afford to get my villagers can continue to produce, and I'm going to get a scout out. This is really important because we need to know a couple of things. Number 1, we need to know where our closest enemies are, and number 2, we need to know where their closest enemies are. Those are the most important details, because just because someone is close to you doesn't mean that they're going to be thinking about you, because there might be somebody even closer. That's a really important part of free-for-all, because we want to survive. So first and foremost, we're going to make sure that we pick up sheep along the way. I've taken note of the sheep that I saw. I knew that there was a sheep just in that little pocket there, so I said, we'll go back and revisit that point. But we don't really need sheep at the moment because we're using the shorefish, and you'll be using berries or deer, whatever it might be. But don't go for a boar early. I'll say that right now, okay? Don't be that guy that makes that mistake. I'm sure you probably know what's going to happen, but I'll just tell you, the short answer is that it's not pretty. Don't go for the boar early. Instead, focus on sheep, deer, berries, and of course, shorefish are very nice. So what I'm now looking to do, just to give you a little bit of insight as to the game, so I'm now putting villagers over onto wood, and my idea is I want to get a dock down as quickly as I possibly can, because that's going to mean I've now got the equivalent of 2 town centers making economic units. And keep in mind that for free-for-all, you've got 200 population space. That's plenty. And here I spot 2 scouts coming out at the exact same time in the same direction. And I take note of who that is. It's the blue one and it's the pink one. You want to really take note of the people that are around you, because you're going to have to keep an eye out for when they're aging up. Because if you see somebody ages up, you want to check, okay, who was that? Was that my neighbor that aged up? Okay, good. Or bad in this case, because it's your neighbor. So I know that blue and pink are probably going to be pretty close together. Their scouts were really, really close to each other, which I found a little bit weird. I thought, okay, are these guys friends? What's going on here? But I think it might have just been a case of them running into each other. Now, I will just pause the video here because we are watching a video, and I'm just going to show you what the map looks like, just to give you a bit of an insight as to what the map looks like. I didn't know what it looked like until the very end, where I went back and watched the replay. So I'll show you what that looks like now. This is what the map looks like, just so you've got a bit of an idea of what it is. And we can see our blue and pink player. I think I said blue and purple before. Blue and pink player. These guys are very, very close together. And we're about to go scout out green shortly. But that's what the map looks like. And as you can see, we do have plenty of fish in our pond. But let's get to it and talk a little bit more about it, as the dock is now going to start going down. Just remember, we want to prioritize. We want to make sure that our town center never goes idle, but we don't want to be gathering up lots of food right now, because we don't need to age up right now. The most important thing is that we just get lots and lots of fishing boats out, and the more we get out, the better it's going to be. But at the same time, we don't want to be too risky. We don't want to go for 17 docks in the Dark Age just to get our insane fishing economy going. We want to try and maximize our benefit, but at the same time, we want to minimize our risk. So that's why we're just going to go for 1 dock in the Dark Age here. All right, so with our scout, we're going to continue scouting out. It's almost like, what would be the best way to say it? It's kind of like you're doing loops in a circle from where your town center is, and you just keep on looping out slightly longer each time. There's a couple of different philosophies when it comes to scouting in FFA, but this is definitely my favorite way to do it. Just making sure I don't miss any potential threats that are coming through. Another thing to keep an eye out for is enemy scouts if they spot you. That's going to be a really important thing. Now, another thing to note, I've chosen the Chinese here. They're my favorite civilization to play in 1v1, in team games, and of course in free-for-all. They're also a really strong civilization. So if you'd like to see Chinese guides, let me know in the comments below. And here we do spot another, it's a Juicy Legacy player here, down here, and I keep an eye on who that is. So that's going to be the green player, so we'll be making sure that we keep track of him and check in with him and see how he's doing. We're going to make sure that we are scouting out. That's a really important thing. You don't really have to do that too much. I don't want to emphasize that crazy, but once you start getting up around, so like the platinum or diamond level in ranked 1v1, scouting becomes a really important part of the game. So for me, at the moment, I'm at the Conqueror 3 level, so that is a very important part of it, is knowing what my enemy is doing. But I think realistically, for most of the games, you're not going to be too worried about what the enemy's doing. The most important thing that you need to worry about is where the enemy is and who their enemies are, because then that kind of tells you, okay, do I have space to go crazy on my economy, or do I want to kind of bide my time here and build up some military units? So that's the kind of thinking that we've got. All right, well, we've managed to find a fair bit of sheep here, which is always nice when you can have sheep. Not that we really need it. Obviously, we're doing pretty well with our fishing boats, and I'm starting to move villagers over now onto my fishing, onto my shore fish, just because I'm thinking, okay, well, it's probably time to age up here. A little bit of idle time coming through as well, so I'm going to have to rush up that village. A little bit of a mistake from me, but I'll forgive myself for now. And now that I've located our green player, we're going to make sure that we have to go back in and check with him. And we really want to be keeping an eye on the age ups as well, because that's another thing when it comes to free-for-all in quick match. You're not going to have too much of an idea on what the strengths of each of the players are in the lobby, because you don't get any information about rank, you don't get any information about their position. You will generally be ranked with players of a similar skill level, but they also say that about quick match and about ranked. And how many games have you guys played where you have been completely outclassed by your opponent, or you have just completely outclassed your opponent? It is very common that it happens. So don't be surprised if you're, playing in your games and maybe you're silver or gold and there's a Conqueror 3 player in there. Don't be surprised at all, because at the end of the day, I mean, if Beastie's in queue, they've got to find someone to put him with, and there's not going to be 7 Conqueror 3 players all queuing at the same time. I think there's only about 150 Conqueror 3 players, and half of them are Smurfs anyway, so there's not a whole lot of them, but free-for-all will have its own separate rating. That's important to note. So now we've seen an age up come through. It's going to be our green, our green player, the Juicy Legacy. So our closest neighbor that we've found so far is the guy who aged up. So that's always a cause for concern. So we want to make sure that we know exactly what's going on here. I'm going to place my Imperial Academy down here. So a little bit of a Chinese tip. I love putting it in the open area in free-for-alls, just because, well, you don't really need to take advantage of the tax in the early game. And in the mid to late game, it makes a big difference. So that's why I like to put it there. Take out the scout there. Even though our villages were pretty far away from the town center, we're still going to garrison just because we want to punish that. But that was pink. He's very far away from home. Where is the pink player? Can we even let's just check. Oh no, never mind, he's not that far away from home. He spawned over here. All right, I'll forgive that one. Well, I'll take out his scout and forgive that one. So he knows that we're here. We don't know where he is, though. We know where the blue player is. At least we know where the blue player's wood line is. We don't have too much more information at this stage. So now that we've got the age up coming through, we're going to have access to military units soon. I say, you know what? That's probably a good idea for me to start thinking a little bit more about adding into the economy. And this is where it comes into identifying what your strategy is in these games. So I'm going to pause it just as we spot our pink player. You guys already know where he is, but I'm about to spot him out here. And this completely changes everything when I see this, because I realize I have got so much space. I'm worried, right? Because I see the blue guy in the corner of the map. I'm concerned for my safety. I'm like, this is not good. I need to age up. I probably need to start thinking about making units here. I've seen his mine work. I know that the mine work is slowly coming up, but what I'm about to see is that the pink player is right next to him. There's the landmark on the minimap you'll be able to see. And that for me is a sigh of relief. And so this is one of the most important things right here, because now I know, okay, because my first question when I saw them so close together with their scouts was, are these guys friends? What's going on? Why are they holding hands? And now I know 100%, yes, they are not friends, they are enemies. But the good news is they're going to be so busy dealing with each other that little old Drongo in the back, who I've called myself Doctor Who because I wanted to stay anonymous, little old Drongo in the back is just going to clean them up. Now, I will also mention that I'm not actually playing on the new game mode. I'm playing on an older game mode, but it's one that's got a maximum population of 1,000. So basically what I wanted to do was just come into the game and play by the new game mode's rules. So I said I'm never going to go above my population limit, even though I technically can just make more houses if I want to. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and impose that rule upon myself and still try and win the game. So that was my rules. Obviously, nobody else in the game follows my rules. That was self-imposed. But now that I know exactly what's happening here, I'm looking to utilize a strategy. Now, this is a similar strategy to what I've seen on, sorry, jeez, bit of a brain fart right there. This is a similar strategy to what we've seen before with free-for-alls. Very common with the Juicy Legacy, very common with the Holy Roman Empire, Order of the Dragon, and with the Chinese. And that's going to be a fast castle. So the idea is, right, we've gone fishing on water. When you've got access to water in FFAs, one of the important things to remember is you need to do something with that food because it's going to really flood in. If you're uncontested, like how I am, where I'm just kind of sitting in the corner, I'm minding my own business, and I've got a free lake, essentially, of fish, that food is really going to start to build up. So you need to think about, what am I going to do with this food? I can go Imperial Age, I can build a wonder with it, but let's try and think more tangibly about it. And for me, that answer is Palace Guards. Now, if you're playing the Order of the Dragon or the Holy Roman Empire, you can do Men-at-Arms. If you're playing the English, you can probably get away with doing Men-at-Arms as well. The reason I like Palace Guards is because they're fast. That's the reason I like it. The reason the Holy Roman Empire are good with it is because they've got marching drills, and the Order of the Dragon because they're tanky. So that's my thinking. I say I'm going to convert all of this food I've got into a castle age, and I'm going to look for a palace guard push. So when it comes to talking about free-for-all theory, there's a couple of different ways that you can play the game. But the most important thing to remember is you need to play each game dynamically. You need to be reactive in free-for-all, and you might come into the game with a plan. However, you need to keep in mind that your enemies will do everything they can to stop that plan. So you need to make sure that when you're looking at that plan, that you take pit stops that are necessary to ensure your survival. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm taking those pit stops here. Because for me, my plan is to get to Imperial Age and make lots of palace guards and just go and be annoying running around the map killing everybody. But am I going to get to that stage if I die to blue after he kills pink? Because that's what might happen. He might just build 3 rams and a whole bunch of men-at-arms and just roll over the top of pink and say, well, where's my nearest enemy that I'm going to take my army to? Oh, red. He's right in the bottom. Let's go do that. So we need to be proactive. We need to be reactive as well, but we're reactive in the sense that we're reacting to the people around us, but we're also going to be proactive in the sense that we're going to be extinguishing their fire before they can extinguish ours. So, slowly and steadily, we start adding in palace guards. Of course, you can realistically do this with any single civilization. As I mentioned, I'm mainly utilizing that extra food income that I've got from the fish here. That's why I'm able to do this. And not every game you're going to have access to the water. And in those games, it's still important that you follow that same process. You need to assess who's around me, and you want to make sure that you take them out. The problem is you don't want to get drawn into a long battle. And this is where coming into free-for-all and negotiating with people is a absolutely fine thing to do. Do not feel bad to do this. Type in the chat, okay, and just say, hey, Pink, we're really close. Do you want to have a truce? Let's not attack each other, or something like that. Like, let's not attack each other right now. You can say that. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to kill the guy that's right next to you, because then I'm gonna get you, right? Like, I'm the big bad guy. I'm gonna gobble you up. So you can always point at other people's civilizations, right? Like, you can say, if you've got someone too close to you, say, hey, like in this situation, pink is English, which is a pretty good FFA civilization. This blue is Order of the Dragon, which is a very good civilization. But they could point at red and be like, hey, pink, red's playing Chinese and he has uncontested water. Let's kill him before we kill each other. So you say that, and then he agrees. And so now you start building up an army but then instead of killing me, you go and kill pink. And then what that does is that allows you to kill that person very quickly, decisively. You don't get into a long, drawn-out battle. You manage to take their monarch. You get the extra 50 population. And then from there, you can move on with your life. And then you can go kill red if you like. The point is, use deception. Deception is an important part of FFA. Negotiation and language skill is an imperative part of free-for-all, and it's important that you master that as well. We really want to try and be chameleons. You know, you want to be best friends with everybody until you kill them. So try and think like that, and that's going to be a really strong skill to have in free-for-alls, and something that I definitely need to work on, because I'm quite silent in this game. But to be fair, when I jumped into this lobby, I checked the ranks of everybody, and I think the highest person I saw was Platinum. So I said, look, I'm not going to take myself too seriously here, says the guy with freaking how many palace guards at 14 minutes that's about to go do some murdering. Look, I guess the point is, you know, it's important. I don't even remember what my point was. Let's move on. So now we get to the pointy end of the stick right here, where it's killing time. For me, palace guards, they go brum brum, very, very quick units. I made a little bit of a mistake a little bit later in the game. I'm not going to talk about it right now. No, I am. I went Yuan Dynasty before I went Ming Dynasty, and then when I wanted to go, I completely forgot that I did it. You know, because very naturally you age up with the clock tower as the Chinese. And then I wanted to put my Imperial Palace, what's it called? Yeah, Imperial Palace down. Wait, no, that's the Imperial Academy. Imperial Palace is the one with the line of sight. I wanted to put it down in a position because I was like, oh, this will be great. I'll get heaps of line of sight here. And then I totally forgot it would push me into Yuan Dynasty before I hit Ming. And that's a feels bad moment right there. Anyway, we spot out our nearest, or our solo neighbor out here. Now, one of the things I didn't do is I didn't scout his neighbors, but I figured he was far enough away that I didn't have to worry that much about him. These guys were pretty close. Blue in particular was very close to me, so he was a big focus for me, whereas green, he wasn't so much. But my first step of the game is to just make sure we take him out. Now, keep in mind, this is going to give us an extra 50 population when we take out the monarch. Now, obviously, there's no monarch in this game, right? Remember what I said earlier. This is just a game that's got an extra... What is it? It's up to 1,000 population. Though I did see one of the guys, because I watched the replay again, he went to like 1,050 population. So I don't know, maybe he's lying. But he had a lot of population, I'll say that much. Anyway, yeah, so now that we've taken out this green player, and we've got a little bit of a military building here. Now what happens is, and this is only when you've got water, right? When you're playing land, it's a completely different ballgame. But when you're playing water, it's important that you have a transition to land. That basically means that you need to start supplementing your water economy with a land economy. And that, to me, looks like town centers. A lot of town centers. So we're in Song Dynasty. We're pumping out villages as the Chinese. You know, best TCs in the game, all that good stuff. And now we're going to complement that with even more town centers. So we've got 2 TCs in. We're about to drop down a 3rd TC as well, and then we'll go into a 4th TC. And the idea is we just want to spam out our economy. We want to utilize that extra population space that we've got. Because remember, normal games, you've got 200 population. So that means that you can probably afford to have about 130 villages and 70 military units. But you've got an extra 50 population. So now all of a sudden, that means that you can afford to have a slightly bigger military and a slightly bigger economy. So Azar has been knocked out. So that is the orange player. I've got no idea who that is or where that is, but I will show you in our game. It's actually this guy over here. So he's been knocked out right now by the Ayyubid player, Rusko, who, if I remember correctly, was the platinum player, and he was quite he was quite good in this game. I'll tell you that much. He did very well. Anyway, let's continue moving on. So that's plus 50 population over for our Ayyubid friend. We'll give that to him, let's keep on rolling on here. So talking a little bit more about theory. We want to make sure that we focus down landmarks in a situation like this. You do have to be careful of the Juicy Legacy and the Chinese because they can always put down additional landmarks. Other civilizations can technically age up, but they're going to tell you when they age up. Whereas in this situation, it doesn't tell you when the Juicy Legacy or the Chinese put down a new landmark. So as an example, he's got the Jiangnan Tower down. He's got the Meditation Gardens down. We haven't seen, or we've seen the Shaolin Monastery, but we haven't seen the Montlu Academy. So there could still technically be a Montlu Academy somewhere out on that map. But there's not. He gets eliminated. And we will take that 50 population. As I said, it's a self-imposed 50 population. So with that, I'm going to add in 5 more houses just to give myself a little bit of extra pizzazz. So third TC's now been added in, and you can see that we're running into a difficult spot. We don't have enough food. So this is where that farm transition comes in. I'm just going to add a fourth TC because why not? But this is where that farm transition comes in, and there's a real key where you've got to be able to balance making military and making villages, because you need to always be aware. You need to be omni-aware, omnipresent. It needs to be omnipresent in your mind that your opponents may attack you at any point. Now, for me, I still know that pink together with blue are still in the game. They haven't knocked each other out yet, and I've got vision over here because I've got Sean the sheep, who is being extra sneaky. He's a silent sheep, and he's telling me exactly what is going on over that side of the map. So I know exactly what's happening there, and unfortunately, they're both still in the game. And just remember, the longer that they remain fighting each other, the better that is for you. So you want to be going after single players instead of going after two players first. You always want to try and focus down that guy who's by himself first, and then go for the guys that are the doubles. Now, that's obviously on the condition that the doubles aren't right at your doorstep, and that the single guy is also not equally close. As you can see, he's probably about double the distance of these two guys, but we still went for him just because I figured, well, you know what? I think we should be able to do that. All right, farming economy starting to come online here. A little bit late, to be honest. I probably should have transitioned a slight bit earlier, a teeny bit earlier. But we're going to be able to run over the top right now of our English opponent here. This is the consequence of what happens when you get caught in a long fight. So one of the strategies that you can use in the early game, and I would definitely recommend this, okay? Let's say, so one of the key things that you're going to be doing is you're going to be moving your villages, and you want to be bringing them all to the same location. And when you do that, you're going to see other villages, and you're going to see them moving in specific directions, okay? So I want you to track that. I want you in the early game to track that and think, okay, I saw a blue villager moving north, so I think blue is in that northerly direction, okay? But another thing to note is that you may see villagers moving or congregating to an area that appears to be close to you. Like maybe you start off down on the bottom side and you move your villagers to the bottom, but then you also see that a player is also moving his villagers in the same direction as you. That it becomes an immediate red flag. And one of the things that you need to do is swallow your pride, pick up, and just go somewhere else. And that's absolutely fine, because at the end of the day, what's going to happen is exactly what is happening to our pink and our blue player, because they crossed each other's paths in the early game, they saw each other's paths in the early game, and yet neither of them negotiated, neither of them said, hey, maybe we should move, neither of them picked up and moved. They both just said, yep, we're just going to fight it out. And the consequence of fighting it out is if you're evenly matched with your opponent, neither of you win. That's important to remember. Neither of you win. So, our pink player is eliminated. I'm going to take the 50 population there. As you can see, I'm going to immediately add in my 5 houses right here. Say thank you very much for the imaginary monarch that I've just taken. And we're going to march on now down to the blue player, who's going to give us another 50 population. You're damn right he is, because he's been stuck in battle. Look at this. He's still in the feudal age, and he's having himself a good time over there. Well, not really. He's in the feudal age. So we're just going to work down that town center. And he's got a couple of units here, but really it's nothing compared to the amount of palace guards that we have got. We've just got overwhelming numbers at this stage. Nest of bees, obviously, just going to destroy here. And now we've done something where our position in the late game is secured. Now, obviously, as I've said a million times, and I'm just going to say it again, and by the way, that granary is misplaced. I didn't realize, and it infuriated me when I found out. I wanted to quit the game the moment that I saw that. I was like, you drongo, you absolute drongo. But anyway, I digress. So what have I done here? I've managed to secure 3 early eliminations, taking out 3 monarchs, giving me 150 extra population. Now, this means that when I'm in the late game, I'm going to be able to have more villages. It means I'm going to have more army. And so straight away, you can see me putting down those 5 houses because I've got an extra 50 population, and I'm in a really good spot. So this is pretty much it. I can just set myself up here for the late game. I can think about going castle age, but of course, that's not me. I'm greedy, and I'm like, all right, who's next? When in reality, I probably should have been paying attention, because Nomads, I don't know where he is, but naturally, I'm just going to go looking for him on that top side. And this point right here, this is where I said to myself, I don't know where he is. I'm just going to put down my landmark. This is going to tick me into Yuan Dynasty. And as I said, you don't want to go to Yuan Dynasty before you go to Ming Dynasty in FFAs. You always want to go into Yuan Dynasty last. But I go for a little bit of a look, a little bit of a search, and I say, all right, we'll go hunting for him. We'll see how we go here. Because, I mean, we got population to spare. Realistically, if I could have this game again, I would probably just chill out, because when you think about it, right, I've taken 3 players out. I don't need to kill these players at the moment. Ideally, I should just fall back, go into Imperial Age, and get my elite upgrades, because I've achieved everything I wanted, right? I took out my 3 nearest neighbors, and here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that Imperial Spies button, and I'm looking for his landmarks. I'm looking for the big boys, and I see all of those fishing boats and traders out there, and I say, oh my god, this guy's actually, he's pretty far ahead at this point. And then I see the army come in. I'm like, oh my lord, this guy's actually got some units. Jeez Louise. Okay, things are getting a bit scary here, because remember, he's not playing by my self-imposed rules. Only I'm playing by the rules. So he's been having a good time over there. Nesta B's got a nice little pocket in this position, just gonna fire off the palace guards. Keep in mind, he's Imperial Age, I'm only Castle Age, and I'm picking a fight right now that I probably shouldn't be. We managed to bait out the first wall of lol, second wall of lol. I'm just trying to protect my Nesta Bees here. You can see they're going to be the key to me winning this fight. So making sure that I have got a decent front line here. That's all I'm really hoping. That as long as the Nesta Bees survive, I should be okay. And that's pretty much it. I was firstly going to go for the boar, and then I said, you know what, probably shouldn't. We need to get our Imperial Age on, so it's going to be the Spirit Way. But remember, we're already in the Yuan Dynasty, yeah, unfortunately, it means that I'm not going to be able to be in the Yuan Dynasty for long. So I'll just point something out here. For anyone who plays Chinese, this is how you must place your barracks, stables, archery ranges. If you want to get the maximum value out of it, this is going to allow you to put 32 of them down. So make sure you do this. The best way that I can guide you with that is put the first barracks 1 tile from the edge on this side and 1 tile from the edge on this side, and then just make sure every other subsequent barracks is immediately adjacent. This is really important because you get double the gold on your tax from these barracks. So we want to be utilizing these as much as we possibly can. All right, let's keep on going. So you can see I'm smack bang putting them around here and making sure that we've got lots of them. So we win the first fight. Things are going well for us, but we did lose a lot of our army. We had like 140 palace guards here. We've lost a huge amount, and I'm still trying to locate. I'm trying to see where exactly is his landmarks, because he's playing the Ayyubids, and that's a massive problem for him, is because he's only got 2 landmarks. So it makes it very easy to focus them, target them, if we know where they are. The problem is I can't find that second landmark. I'm not sure which town center of his is his first town center, which town center of his is his secondary town center. Ancient techniques, I cancel it here because I'm not sure. Leave a comment down below if you know. If you research ancient techniques and then get Ming Dynasty after it, do you still get the extra 4%? Because I feel like you probably don't. I feel like you have to do the dynasties first, and then after that you can research it. That's the way I feel. I don't know if it's actually true. Anyway, I'm sure I could probably test that and see. It wouldn't be too hard, right? Like, I just go into a game with no upgrades and then just get 3 dynasties, and yeah. Anyway, I'm going to test it. I want to see. I think it should be pretty easy to tell. Anyway, let's worry about that less. Let's talk more about free-for-all. So keep in mind, in this game, I will also just mention something. You may notice that Roman over here, who could also be Roman, depending on your pronunciation, he's still in Age 1. So there's a bug in this game mode. I don't know if it's going to be there in the quick match mode, but basically he AFK'd, and so all of his villagers died, but he's still in the game, and basically that means you can't beat him. He's a winning machine at this stage, so the winner will just have to leave the game. All right, so effectively there's 3 players that are left in there. There's Yellow, there is Teal, and there's me. Now, I can just check on the minimap. Yellow is pretty far away from me. That's really not my concern. My main concern here is Teal. On top of that, Teal is by far the most powerful person, and I probably should have been convincing Yellow to attack Teal because he is insanely strong right now. We've already seen how big that economy is, but I tell you right now, if you thought the economy was big, wait until you see the military. He is absolutely pumping units out. And I was doing the Palace Guard only challenge. He was going for the every unit challenge, where he was just making units non-stop. So when it comes to unit compositions in Age of Empires 4 and free-for-all especially, I would recommend pick 1 unit for your front line, pick 1 unit for your back line. That's the best way to think about it. So hand cannoneers and spearmen, hand cannoneers and men-at-arms, crossbows and spearmen, crossbows and men-at-arms, something like that. And that's a really effective way to build an army. And then from there, you can always mix in stuff stuff if you want to try and be reactive to what your enemy's got. But at this stage, I realize, hold on a minute, I don't think I can beat this guy. This is a lot of units that are coming in. So I say I need to resort to my forbidden combo. There's only one way you can beat somebody who has way more units than you, and that is through the power of the overpowered. That is the Nest of B, of course. So I'm going to throw down my Siege Workshop, and then I'm going to completely forget about it. We will never see it again. So at this point in the game, so you can see 274 population I'm sitting on. Our opponent, he's currently sitting on about 600 population. He went for a massive boom, dude. It was kind of crazy. Now, let's talk a little bit about late game and philosophy when it comes to late game. One of the things you need to be careful about against the Chinese is their ability to build lots of landmarks, so always be on the lookout for that. But for other civilizations, try and wall up. Try and get your stone walls up, because that's going to guarantee that you've got some time before your enemy breaks through with any potential raids. So here again, I'm still looking for the landmarks. I'm like, where are they? I can see that there was a Chinese landmark or a Jussi landmark there, but I still can't see his main landmark, and it's blowing my mind. I'm like, where is it? You know, show me the money. But you could see on the minimap, you know, if we just go back for a second, yeah, right here, like you could see, not only does he have like the fishing ships out here, he's got the traders along the shoreline that are going. He's got a huge farming economy. Like this dude knows how to free for all. Like, go watch some of his games. He's going ham. His name is Nomads. I just realized his name is Nomads in here, but then when I go into this game, his name is Rusko. So Rusko, I don't know who you're smurfing on, but well done, my friend. So yeah, stone walls are an important component of late game. Just because they're going to slow your opponent down, they can still 100% be broken. I totally got the wrong upgrade here as well and supervised it. I was trying to get elite army tactics and I click incendiary arrows. Oh, that's so funny. I didn't even realize. I mean, I clicked it later, but I didn't realize. And then I actually took the fight in like a couple of minutes because I thought, yeah, my upgrades through so I can fight now. Oh, that's so funny. I misclicked. That's a really important upgrade. Not only do you get extra damage, you get extra health as well. That's a really important upgrade, especially when you've got 150 palace guards. Kind of relevant then. Jeez. Anyway, so as you can see, we're slowly building more and more Raxes towards our Imperial Academy. Going to start spreading out our villages here, looking to keep them out. But the farm transition is still something that needs to happen here for me. So when it comes to free-for-all strategy and free-for-all gameplay, Yellow, he's definitely got a pocket position, which means that he can just pretty much do whatever he wants. Nomads did the right thing early on, taking out a neighbor, making sure it was a very quick, painless death, which is exactly how you want it. And then from there, he's just absolutely boomed like a brilliant, a brilliant boy. So now I'm going to take this fight without my upgrade. And now I see, I'm like, oh God, oh no. This ain't going to be good. Oh, spoiler, it's not good. Look at the amount of... Look at this. He's got the siege towers and he's got the big boys out. What do they call the Tower of the Sultan? Yeah, he's doing God's work over here. We'll say that much. There is plenty. He's also microing his Springolds in there. It's just like... You're doing well over there, Nomads. I'm going to tip my hat to you after this one. That is for sure. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think there's too much more to say. We could talk a little bit about late game theory and about the best way to play in free-for-all. So ideally what you want to be doing is you want to be walling up all avenues that you can be attacked at. And there's a couple of reasons why you want to do that, but I'm about to show you what the first reason that is, and that is because of AI. Now, you might be thinking, AI, Drongo, I'm not planning on playing with any AIs. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way the game works. So here's me using Imperial Spies again. I'm looking at him, I'm looking at his base, and I'm trying to find a way through here. The problem is, every time I click to go to this north side of the map, I can't do it. Every single time I click, you can see me right-clicking. Look right there, okay? Let's go back right here. I'm grabbing all my units, and I'm grabbing villages as well. And I'm like, hey, I want all of you guys. I want you guys to drop off, and I want you to come over here. We're going to build a forward base. So what do? Have a look at the direction that they go. Did you see that? Did you see the direction that they go? Don't worry. I'll show them again. The point is that you can really mess with your opponent's pathing by doing this. So as long as you wall up, the enemy villagers will just... They know that the way is closed. They know that they can't get through. And so here you can see me like, okay, guys, come on, let's go up here. And once again, look at the villagers. So I've told them again to go up, and once again, they're moving to the left. And I'm like, what's going on here? Is there no way through? Let's go have a look and see what it is. And I decide, you know, all right, fine, we'll drop the Raxes here. Let's have a look what's actually happening here. So my villagers are currently in this position right here next to the boar-deer combo. So they're right here. And I'm telling them to go up into this area. And the reason they're not going up is because of this absolutely massive wall of wood line that I haven't scouted. So now you can see my next point, which is going to be, you need to scout the map. You need to know exactly where the choke points are. You need to know where you can get through, how you can get through. All these things are really important because, as you can see, I might potentially lose a game because of it. Because I'm trying to tell my units to go up, and I'm like, okay, this whole section is just completely walled off. What's going on? I can't get up there. The reality is, it's not actually walled off. It's completely open. In fact, Rusko never actually walls this top side. It's all completely open. It's just that my villagers didn't go around it because it was just too far. The AI was telling them, no, this way is shorter than that way. So that's why we're going to go down instead of up. Even though it seems counterintuitive, that's the way that it goes. And here again, I'm going to tell them, go up. And you can see they're going to go to the left. It's like, no, go north, you idiots. What's going on? But at the end of the day, I'm the one that's the idiot, not them, because they always know. So you can always take advantage of that just by walling. That's another thing to note. You can leave a gap at the front if you want to try and bait out your opponent towards your army. But the best thing you could do is just wall up like an absolute madman. And that's going to guarantee that throughout your game, you're going to be safe. And you're going to have lines of defenses to defend. So now I'm going to try and migrate. One of the things to remember is I've actually used up my final landmark. So as the Chinese now, I don't have any more landmarks that I can make. And that's a problem because now all of a sudden my landmarks are getting focused. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, my imperial palace is still alive. And that's kind of in a bit of a weird position. So hopefully he doesn't find that. Unfortunately, yeah, he ran straight to it. There it is. I was like, damn, that was like my only hope. I'll be honest, now that I think about it, that's a little bit sus because he ran literally right to it with those units. But I don't know, maybe he just kind of knew that I was doing something. So I'm going to go watch the replay. Now I'm going to go back and watch the replay, dude. Oh, no. Why do I do this to myself? I always do this to myself, dude. I'm like, that's a little bit sus. Now I got to... Dude, look at this. At this point, I'm looking at the game. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not happening. That is way too many units, dude. That is not happening at all. Yeah. So I tried to make it through the top side. I couldn't find the top side. It's always terrible when you can't find the hole. This was one of those games where I couldn't find it. And subsequently, I lost. I surrendered. So that's going to be it for the first... I guess this is the first point of the strategy guide. Let me know if I missed out anything. Let me know if there's anything that you want to hear from me about this. As I mentioned in previous videos and in this one as well, we're going to be covering a lot of FFA content over Season 7. So there's going to be plenty of it coming. So hopefully that'll keep you guys entertained. You can see right here, look at the economy, dude. This guy is an absolute boomer. He is on the lawnmower. He is with the white monster can. And there we can see the military. He just, yeah, he's miles and miles ahead. So very well played to him. Anyway, we're going to leave it there. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.